I just had to look at Trace. I had to just look at Monica and know what she needed was unconditional love. And I know it inside my heart, inside my gut, inside every part of me. You know, it's right there. And so the scene, as difficult as it wasn't because I love her.
I was thrilled to see them given the extraordinary space in this movie that we're not used to seeing, to live with them in their complexity. And it was, Trace, I've never seen you given half a chance like this. And to see you hold the movie in the center, and to see you hold a relationship with a complicated actor like Patty, it really just moved me really deeply. So I'll shut up. But I'm interested. I have a million questions about this. First of all, how did this movie come to you? Who got it first? How did it come up?
I was attached. What am I thinking? It's all a blur
I
at
think,
this
Patty,
point.
you were attached. I'm like, no, darling, you were attached.
Okay, that's right. I'm like, you're the reason we got funding. So the script came in December of 2016, and then I started auditioning in 2017 for a couple years. It was a couple years of audition, spaced out.
So you were auditioning. They didn't come to you and say, "Here's the movie."
All I heard was, they continue to like you. They continue to like you. They're looking around. I guess they casted not just in America, but just all over. And I kept checking back. Then I kept hearing, "Oh, they continue to like you." I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So I don't know. I kind of just forgot about it for a while, and then I would forget about it, and then they would call me in to do something else, or come improv for them now, and I would have to come improv some phone calls, and then I remember going to some dinners, and then finally they were like, yeah, they want you, and then I heard Patty came on, and we ran into each other at an Emmy party.
Oh, we did. Well, but this is the thing. So I knew Andrea Palotto. I met him at Marrakesh Film Festival. The serendipitous nature of our lives as actors. I had met him long before this film, and he said, "I want to work with you." I said, "I want," and I got a call from my agent. He said, Andrea Palotto has a new film, and he just cast Trace Lysette.
Oh, wow.
And he wants you to play the mother. And I was like, oh my God. And I knew this extraordinary woman. And of course, I knew how not only is she an incredible actor, she's beyond gorgeous. And I'm thinking, oh God, I'm going to be the hot mom. But I will say what I got was much more, of course, and an extraordinary script, a beautiful, beautiful, just incredible movie. And it's the fastest I've ever said yes in my life, because it was not lost on me that this incredible transgender actress could lead a film, as you said.
Yes.
And did it brilliantly. But, I said, I'll be Trace's wingman any day. I'll be her backup singer any day.
That it's amazing for me, and pisses me off that you had to grovel as we as actors do, because I honestly, before I asked that question, I assumed that they came to you and you worked with them on this script because it seems so fully woven into you. Was there, once the role was taken, was your experience as a trans woman part of the creative process, if not in the bones of the script, in the sort of buffing it?
Yeah, I did give a round of notes. It was originally written for a 50-something trans woman.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't fit that, which is why I think maybe they kept looking and trying to cast. But eventually they were like, we'll just age her down. You know, we want Trace. And I appreciated that they let me give them some notes on the script. And I just gave them willing. And then, you know, they gave me a producing credit. And it was just like a labor of love the whole way. And I had my hands in it the whole way. I think that was really important because, you know, it's important that there's trans voices behind the role.
Yes.
And so I felt like it was my duty to just kind of fight for certain things, like the sex work had been taken out on the first cut, and I was like, no, these people need to know how she pays her bills. Like, you don't have to stay there, you don't have to dwell on it, but this is the reality for a lot of trans women. Survival sex work is just part of our lives until we can thrive and get up out of that. But there was other things that came up here and there, and I was glad that they were collaborative. It always felt collaborative. Andrea is so gentle, and that was probably the biggest gift, is that he was collaborative and gentle. And when I feel like I'm safe on set, I know my instrument. That's the biggest gift you can give me, is to make me feel safe and that you value my input and my feelings about a scene or a line, because we're not puppets, you know, we're layered human beings, like the characters should be. So
I had, every time I watch something, whether it's a play or a film, and I had a very strong feeling with this one, I can tell that it was good atmosphere on set. When when everybody's blood is flowing, when the puppies are relaxed, when the kids don't look like they're about to go into rehab after the movie, you know. But you can tell, and I always think, you know, I think it is so important. In order, any great director that I've been really lucky to work with knows that they do not want a hierarchical relationship with their actors, that is an act of insecurity, and that, like, raising, the last thing, I always think of it in terms of like raising kids. Like, you owe them the possibility of surprising you, and very secure directors.
We didn't ever rehearse, you guys.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Table read.
There was no table read. No, Andrea really trusted us to have the goods. And Trace and I were blessed that we really got on like a house on fire and had a really deep connection from day one. And so we would just actually come to the set and start to work. And it was always, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like loosey-goosey. It wasn't that, because it's a very specific frame. So we sometimes literally had to keep our elbows in or keep our head out. And so it was very specific at times in the way it was shot. But it was always just, Andrea would just let us kind of, you know, we'd show up on the set and we'd kind of feel each other and see each other. And it was so organic the way we shot because nothing was prepared.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's always, you can feel when actors, it's a very fine line when they're, it's a neurotic line. When, what I loved about this is that sense that you get with great acting that someone's not executing a performance; they're actually like getting played, and there's a distinction, and it was interesting because it's so beautifully shot, and I'm sure there were moments where, like, you could tell it was very critical that, like if a head went this way or a head went that way. But on the other hand, I could tell that you were getting these long dips in the pool. So that must have been helpful, it just in terms of flow, because filmmaking can feel choppy.
Yeah, I mean, the framing was, I mean, it was not without its challenges. There was even scenes when he would choreograph my little movements, and then I would have to be, I remember putting the necklace on, and he was like, okay, now shift this way. This is what you're going to do. You're going to shift this way. Then you're going to put the necklace on. You're going to go out of frame, come back, tilt your head, and then emote. And then, like, I've never been choreographed that much.
Yeah, sometimes.
When you're trying to think about your childhood and emote, and it's like, well, can I just cry? Like, what the fuck? Or just, can I just feel what I need to feel? No, you gotta, And I was like, you're so specific, Andrea. And he was like, I know, Tres, I know. But you want to please him because he's such an awesome person, and I want to do a good job. And it was a great challenge as an actor. I didn't know that I could take that kind of technical direction and find the emotion at the same time. So, I mean, the framing was challenging. It was really challenging.
The framing was. But sometimes also, we didn't know when we were in the frame or out of the frame. And it gave me, I just didn't care anymore. Well, I just said, well, my being is there. I still am in the scene. I could probably be back in my hotel room, but, But, we didn't know sometimes that it was just going to be our hand. And I was like, oh.
There's a lot of really good hand and back of head acting in this movie. But no, like, that's why you couldn't phone anything in, because you just
didn't know.
Feel it. But the long, what you were saying about diving in the pool and shooting on film. I mean, I grew to love being back in the analog world.
Yeah.
And those extra 2, 3, 5 minutes sometimes when they would have to reload the film or check the gate or whatever they need to do, and you get that extra time and you slow down, and then it feeds the art in a way that doesn't happen when you're shooting on digital.
I think it's really interesting what digital has done. Mm-hmm. Some of it is good, but like when you're shooting on film, there's money burning up that you can hear humming, especially on a low budget movie, and when you're shooting digitally, you're starting a take, and you're like, well, this probably isn't going to be in the movie. It's like, your subtext, because there's probably going to be another. And with film, it does it in a good way. I think it brings you, it makes you present.
Pretty much everything we shot is in the film. There weren't big deep cuts of any
it was
kind.
2, 3, 4 takes maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking early on, I said that to Andrea, I was like, film is expensive. Like, I mean, and he's like, don't worry about that. You get to take as much as you need. And he said, don't ever worry about that. And because he said that, I didn't need a lot. Like, I remember doing the driving scene when I had to pull the U-turn and, go back home, and I was crying, and that was our first take, and that, that's the one he used. It's just about him saying it's going to be okay. It was just that safety net made me feel free, so that, I don't know, the problems just never came in terms of that.
And the woman who shot this film is Kate Arismandes. She's this brilliant young woman, and she's young, and she's the star, a future cinematography star.
Yeah.
And she just shot the whole season of Succession, the last season of Succession. She's really exceptional and truly possessed, like Andrea.
It is. It's so interesting to me. First of all, like, you and I sort of grew up in the theater, and I remember like the first film stuff we do, and I was like, why do they think film acting is organic? Because it's like, tilt your head this way, hit this mark. Like in a play, it's yours. Like, So it sounds like his gentleness allows him to sort of, and creating a safe place allows him to be that sort of specific visually. It sounds like there's a lot of trust going on. Yeah. And one thing I just want to talk a little bit about is it avoided every cliche I thought I was going to encounter. There was not the blowout scene and revelation, and it's obviously about how families and how society encounter transgender issues, but it was about something so universal, and I love movies that do that. And I don't know how to articulate it, but it had something to do with our mixed feelings about wanting to explain ourselves and wanting not to have to explain ourselves, which, from my understanding, I think both of those poles are heightened with the transgender people that I know, but it is something that certainly happens in families, in the sort of nurturing horror of familyhood, and it was just so beautiful to see you two come to that moment where no explanation is necessary. And that's a stunning moment in the. Tell me about that moment in the bathtub scene, and like you finish breakfast and he goes, get in the tub and we're gonna just tell me a little bit about.
I'll tell you this, I'm naked, crying, and dying. I'm like the trifecta.
Yeah.
I just said Andrea.
Yeah, the glamour.
No.
The
naked, crying, and dying, and
It's a great autobiography title.
But no, just a really tiny, quick side story. So many years ago, I did this beautiful film called High Art, and I played a German lesbian heroin addict. And my mother took my great Aunt Patsy, my namesake, to see it at 82. And she called me when she got home. She goes, Aunt Patsy's going to call you tomorrow. And Aunt Patsy called me the next day, and she goes, she's very New Orleans. She said, Patty, darling, I saw you in High Art. I just want to tell you something. If a director told me I had to play a German, lesbian, heroin addict, I would have told that director I can play one of the three. And that's kind of what I thought to tell Andrea. I can be naked or no. But no, with all seriousness, that scene was incredibly important to me. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this film. And, I think as actors, we can only fake so much. we can only create so much. We are at the mercy of our own souls and our own hearts and minds and bodies. And, you know, again, that was 1 take, 2 takes. You know, I got in the bathtub and my daughter, I know, is bathing me. I have this moment. But you know, the truth is it's everything I felt. It's a little hard to say, is I was blessed. I had parents that are still with me who gave me unconditional love every day of my life. Every day, you guys. And I didn't have to reach for anything. I just had to look at Trace. I had to just look at Monica and know what she needed was unconditional love. And I know it inside my heart, inside my gut, inside every part of me. You know, it's right there. And so the scene, as difficult as it wasn't, because I love her. And I know what unconditional love is. Sometimes we don't have to reach for anything. As actors, sometimes we always think we have to strive. We don't. And so that scene, I just had to give her the love I know and have known my whole life.
I think for Monica, that scene was really complicated because she was battling rage and being disowned and also this tender moment. And so that complexity was what was running through me. It's like, oh, this is really our first
But that's
meeting.
the beauty of Andrea,
Yeah.
is that it's not some complete rapprochement. It's not, you know, she's still battling. I am willing and able, but that's Andrea. It was always, nothing was spelled out, nothing was completed. It was so true, you know, it was life. It's exactly what he saw, and he let it just be. You know, us in this bathroom alone with no one else, what it was. But many other scenes, the scenes with us on the bed, the scenes with you and Josh, the scenes, you know, with you with those beautiful children. He sometimes just let what we had be, you know. And then sometimes we had to keep our head up.
Can you let what you have be with your head like this?
I'm better at it now, and she's a master.
You know, I was thinking, Trace, just because I know you, I know how talented you are. I know there are challenges that you face in Hollywood that Patty and I don't face. And I was thinking about that whole thing of needing to explain and not explain. I'm wondering, you know, here we are promoting a movie, and I was thinking, here is a version of, you know, what Monica had, is maneuvering, and I just wondered if, I mean, it really seemed to just fully resonate in you, but I don't know. I know it means a lot. I guess I just wanting to hear your thoughts about having the opportunity to be at the center like this, to not be in a situation. It's sort of, I don't know. It's difficult for me to talk about because I think if you look up white privilege in the dictionary, the definition is my headshot. But but it's something to do with the privilege and the curse of representation. And I think the movie sort of maneuvers that beautifully, and I just wondered what your thoughts about that were.
Well, I mean, I don't take any of it lightly. I mean, I got this career out of the mud. I won't go down my whole history of trauma. You can Google me for that. But I mean, I've had a 10-year career in TV. I was a late bloomer. I just turned 42, and this is the first time I've been given the chance to lead anything. And it's rare. It's uncharted territory for trans people, for the most part, to play the title character in an indie film that goes to Venice, and we get this 11-minute standing
It's an 11
ovation.
and a half minute standing ovation.
And thanks. But it's been a battle every step of the way. I mean, from getting funding to getting the same access. Now there's Oscar buzz, and we're like fighting to get in the conversation, and like we don't have money for a campaign, and everything's just a fight. My whole life has been a fight. And that in itself is a challenge for me, to just not tap out. It's tough. So, but I think like, well, what are my other options? I don't know. I have to just show up. I just have to show up. Just show up, Trace. Keep fucking showing up.
That's quickly why I want to say thank you quickly to SAG-AFTRA for giving us this interim agreement to come out. This is why we're alive. And, and kudos to Fran Drescher, our kick-ass president. But we're here because SAG knows we are not a studio film.
Yeah. I mean, we're up against big money. I hate that part of this business. I hate the business part of this business. I love the art. I hate the business part. They don't go hand in hand to me. I mean, they have to, but they don't. They're like foreign entities to each other. But back to your question. I hold on to hope. I just hold on to. I dream of starting a production company one day, hiring my trans friends who write, having the weight to throw that around and say, well, this person over here should write this trans film, and we should get Bradley and whoever else to star with us. And it doesn't happen without our cis allies who have clout in this industry. It doesn't happen, not yet. So I just keep showing up, and I hope that we get a level playing field. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking for people to watch the film and treat it the same way you would any other big budget film.
Well, I think this film is a real, especially at this moment where I think we don't talk enough about how under direct fucking attack the trans community is. I think everybody needs to speak up more about that, because we tend to not speak up about it because it's why they target such a vulnerable community, because they know that issues of sexuality and gender short people out, and they're easy to target. So I think we can all do that. I think a film like this is a weapon in that, because of your performance in this, which is so full and human and reaches out through the screen to our common humanity. So I'm really grateful for it. It's probably a good place to end, but I was just going to say that was Patty's dog in the movie.
Sadly, so why we took so long, it took a while to get the film made. So I would hang out with Andrea in LA or New York, and my dog Izzy, sadly, she's passed. But one day, everybody, she would hang out with me, and Andrea was like, I love Izzy. And I said, oh, okay, great. She's my dog. And he goes, I love Izzy. I want Izzy to be your dog in the movie, Patty. I said, no, she's not a show dog. She's just my dog. But she turned out to be kind of a show dog. Anyway, I love her dearly. I miss her every damn day of my life. Every day. Miss her. But she lives forever in this beautiful film.
She does. She lives forever. I want to thank all of you for coming. I really want you... this is the kind of movie that deserves your support for so many reasons, but the biggest reason of all is just to see these two incredible actors dive deep in the pool.
Thank you, Bradley.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.